speeches are full of rhetoric. All his speeches are full of, venom and deep hatred for Pandit Nehru and the Gandhi family for some reason. All his speeches are all about Jumla. This comes to light. The more nonsense that he and his party plants, the more he hides behind the speaker. I mean, what did the speaker say? Some harm could have been done to the prime minister. One of the speakers of their alliance party says some women could have bitten to him with their teeth. I mean, which world are these people living in? These are MPs who have been elected by India's electorate, much like you have been elected. How dare you insult any of those women? These are empowered women. They've been elected by the people of this country. They wanted to ask you questions. How dare you hurl any abuse at them and say they were going to harm you? The leader of opposition is not a man. It's not just Rahul Gandhi. He represents India's opposition. He represents 68% of the vote share that voted against you. He represents every single opposition member sitting there in the house and everybody outside. He's supposed to hold the government accountable, show you the mirror, and ask you the tough questions. When you don't let him speak, you will not speak either. I'm sorry, this has gone on for too long. You need to be paid back in your own bad coin. What Mr. Modi is doing now, he looks like a frustrated, he looks like a tired man who's looking for scapegoats. And when he can't find his scapegoats around, let's go back 6 decades.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Prime Minister Modi, in his 97 minutes long speech yesterday in Rajya Sabha, accused Nehru and the Gandhi family for all what has gone wrong with the country, and that for the last 11 years, he's been trying to make amends for all those historical wrongs. Not that he did this for the first time, but this has become a cliched pattern of Modi's speech, rather an underlining theme. Now, from trade deal to Viksit Bharat, Modi spoke less about his vision and what his government was doing and spent more time on accusing and berating Nehru and the Gandhis. So the big question is Modi making himself more and more irrelevant when he quotes the blunders of Nehru and Gandhi in every speech he makes, whether it is outside parliament or inside? And now this Nehru Gandhi hate chant has gone one step ahead, because you have a BJP MP like Nishikant Dubey who says that now he's about to create a library of books which will compile the misdeeds of Nehru and Gandhi family. So we'll try and talk on this subject and also analyze what Prime Minister Modi's 97-minute speech was all about. Joining me this evening is Supriya Shrinate, who's the head of the Congress's digital media department. Veteran leader joins us. Thank you so much, Supriya, for joining on Truth Be Told. And my first question to you is that I was just trying to count as to how many times Prime Minister Modi was making a mention of Nehru and Gandhi family's blunders. What do you think this 97-minute speech was all about?
The reality, and it's a good evening to you and your viewers, the reality, Neelu ji, is, can you tell this speech apart from the previous speeches he has made? And the sad truth is that you cannot, because all his speeches are full of rhetoric. All his speeches are full of, venom and deep hatred for Pandit Nehru and the Gandhi family for some reason. All his speeches are all about jumlas. But before I go any further on that, I want to just take a moment and tell our viewers what was happening at a time when the Prime Minister was speaking. The Prime Minister spoke for 97 minutes. Exactly at that time, a young man who lives in Delhi was returning home from work in the Janakpuri area of Delhi. He died because his bike fell in a ditch that was dug by the Delhi Jal Board. Now, the Viksit Bharat that you were speaking about, or the vision that you were laying out, or the third or the fourth largest economy that you were talking about, or the jumlas that you were serving parliament, and of course speaking to your echo chamber because the opposition had walked out. What good is this? I live in Noida, and 3 kilometers away from where I live, a young man died because his car fell into a ditch full of water. And the entire administration of UP, from the SDRF to the fire department, the police, just kept standing there like that nude spectator. Does Mr. Modi even sympathize with these young men who are losing their lives? And is this the Viksit Bharat that you're talking about? Is this the fourth largest, third largest, whatever else largest economy? Now let me come back to the speech that he made. And like I said, I cannot tell a difference between Modi's speeches anymore, because it's the same damn rhetoric. It's the same abuses being hurled at Pandit Nehru. It's the same nonsense that he's going to say about Indiraji. It's just the same damn thing. What are you going to do about millions of Indians who have very direct questions for you? Questions on the trade deal, questions on your name appearing in the Epstein files, questions on the fact that you could not give clear directions to the chief of army staff, questions that you were so scared that you ran away from the Lok Sabha. And what were you scared of? Three women MPs. I mean, a prime minister who's supposed to be 56-inch broad chest and Vishwa Guru and Falana Guru. You were so scared. It took 3 women MPs to burst your balloon. Just 3 women MPs. I'm so proud of those women. The reality is that the more this comes to light, the more nonsense that he and his party plants, the more he hides behind the speaker. I mean, what did the speaker say? Some harm could have been done to the prime minister. One of the speakers of their alliance party says some women could have bit into him with their teeth. I mean, which world are these people living in? These are MPs who have been elected by India's electorate, much like you have been elected. How dare you insult any of those women? These are empowered women. They've been elected by the people of this country. They wanted to ask you questions. How dare you hurl any abuse at them and say they were going to harm you? So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is the prime minister looks like a visibly tired, a visibly beaten down man. He looks like somebody who has a lot to hide. He looks like somebody who's running helter-skelter. He looks like somebody who's absolutely compromised. So I 100% agree with Rahul Gandhi that he's a compromised prime minister. You look at the trade deal that has been done, and I'm sure we're going to talk a little more about this over the next few minutes. And the trade deal is so one-sided, so lopsided. There is absolutely no explanation on Trump announcing the deal, Trump giving out more details, our government not refuting any of the details, and yet the deal being so lopsided. Agri imports, 0% tariff on American goods. We are not going to buy Russian oil. 18. What are we celebrating? Are we celebrating our tariff rates going up from under 3% to 18%? I mean, I don't understand. The fact that India's prime minister features in mails that were written by a convicted human trafficker and a pedophile like Epstein, I think that brings a lot of shame. The fact that you could not give any directions to the army chief and instead says, "Jo uchit samjho wo kar lo." What are we talking about? And so, to my mind, the prime minister ran away from Lok Sabha. He used his time in Rajya Sabha to hurl abuses at Nehru. But no matter what you do, no matter what you say, Pandit Nehru is one of the most towering builders of modern India, and nothing that you say will diminish his legacy, will diminish what he did for this country. First as a freedom fighter, and then as independent India's first prime minister.
But if you look at Prime Minister Modi's speech and the way he looks at things, now if Rahul Gandhi has been disallowed and if Prime Minister Modi is not able to make the speech in Lok Sabha, he says that Rahul Gandhi has humiliated the president, Rahul Gandhi has humiliated the constitution. Then when the Ravneet Bittu's incident happened, so he says that Sikhs have been humiliated and Congress doesn't have any respect for the Sikhs. So what is politics for Prime Minister Modi? He picks out individual incidents and then links it to the entire community. Now, what is this style of politics? And it gets whipped up into a frenzy.
I would like to turn around and ask the Prime Minister 3 questions. I would like to remind him of 3 or 4 instances. When you came back from Punjab and there was an issue with your traffic and you had to return, why did you tell someone apne Mukhyamantri ko jaakar keh dena main bach kar aa gaya? Did you hold 3.5 crore Punjabis in suspicion? Were they a threat to your life? That's point number 1. Point number 2, when you were hurling abuses, when you were getting the Sikhs and old Sikhs beaten up by lathis and tear gas who were protesting against you, were you doing a great service to Punjab? When you let the Punjab Sikhs, farmers, rot for almost a year, over a year on the borders of Delhi, were you respecting Punjab? When your ministers and your MPs were calling those six Khalistanis, Ugravadi, Naxals, why did you keep quiet? The reality is, Mr. Modi has called independent India's only Sikh Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh, a very, very respected scholar worldwide. How dare you say Manmohan Singh raincoat पहन कर नहाते हैं? तब सिखों का अनादर नहीं हुआ था? That's one question I want to ask Mr. Modi, and Mr. Modi has no answers to that. He's a crass man who speaks in crude language. The second part of what you said, and I want to bring the discussion to that. How dare you not allow the leader of opposition to speak? The leader of opposition is not a man. It's not just Rahul Gandhi. He represents India's opposition. He represents 68% of the vote share that voted against you. He represents every single opposition member sitting there in the house and everybody outside. He's supposed to hold the government accountable, show you the mirror, and ask you the tough questions. When you don't let him speak, you will not speak either. I'm sorry, this has gone on for too long. You need to be paid back in your own bad coin. You need to be made to taste your own bitter medicine. How dare you not allow the leader of opposition to speak? And if you are not going to let the voice of opposition to be heard in the house, we don't want to hear you either. So I am extremely proud of the opposition. I'm extremely proud of the 3 women MPs, and some of them my very dear friends, who drove the Prime Minister away. If the Prime Minister is scared of his own colleagues, then there is something seriously wrong with the security of this country. I mean, how dare they even accuse or even remotely suggest that those women were a threat to his life and liberty.
Supriya, now there are several issues which have begun with the budget session. First, of course, is
you were before we started speaking, you were asking me about Priyanka Gandhi, and if you want me to answer that, I certainly can. You were asking me that she had set a discussion on Nehru.
Yeah, in fact, I want to come on that as well.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, since you were mentioning about the issues inside Parliament. The budget session has begun with a number of issues as far as the opposition is concerned. General Naravane's book, which has not been released, and Rahul Gandhi has brought it on the center frame, and also talking about and raising questions about the top leadership, how they treat the army, and what kind of a decision making is that. Then secondly is the issue of the LOP himself not being allowed to speak. Third is the suspension of the 8 MPs. And then we also saw Rahul Gandhi, calling Ravneet Bittu a traitor. Now, the point is that I'll talk to you about what exactly happened, and I'm going to ask you on that. But how is the opposition now going to prioritize these issues? What will happen coming Monday? Because today also Lok Sabha got adjourned. What are we going to expect? How is the opposition really going to carry forward this issue? Is this stalemate going to continue for the coming week?
So first up, guess what? In the middle of the parliament session, the Prime Minister said bye-bye, and he's on a trip to Malaysia. Between the 7th to the 9th, Mr. Prime Minister is not there. So all those people, because Rahul Gandhi had a prior commitment in Germany and some of those colleges there, and he was meeting the diaspora, Rahul Gandhi was criticized for being away from parliament for a few days. How about Mr. Modi missing parliament? Why is it that the entire mainstream media and some of his minions and his silly MPs and his ministers are no more waxing eloquence on the importance of parliament and how dare Rahul Gandhi miss? Now talk about the leader of the house missing. Why is Mr. Modi going to miss parliament? I mean, is going to Malaysia as important as not attending parliament? Is he going because he's so scared to face the house? I don't know. The question that you asked, what will be prioritized? We prioritize the interests of India. And I will tell you why General Naravane's book is as important as the trade deal, which is as important as the discussion on the budget. Let me begin with point number 1. General Naravane is a decorated officer of the Indian Army. He has several times put his own life in danger to protect our motherland. He is the former chief of the army staff. He has written a book which has been pending with the government of India, the Modi government particularly, for the last 2 years without an approval to get published. What are you so scared about? What are you so apprehensive about, which will reveal what we don't know? That's point number 1. Point number 2, Mr. Modi refers to an American author's book in the House. The speaker has no issues, no rule book is read. But Rahul Gandhi wants to refer to General Naravane's book. The BJP has an issue. You have an issue with a patriot, with a decorated soldier's book being referred to, you are anti-India. Because the harsh reality, Neelu, is that in his book, General Naravane minces no words and says that when a clash with China was inevitable, when the Chinese tankers were standing right before us, and when I asked for the directions from political leadership, Mr. Modi is learned to have told, and quote unquote, the chief of the army staff, Jo uchit samjhe wo karo. This is negligence. This is escaping. This is turning away from responsibility in its worst form. That is the time you needed to stand with the Indian army. That's what Indira ji did. She did not pick up the gun and go start fighting with Pakistan, but she gave the confidence to her armed forces. I have your back. I am taking the call. America is going to send the 7th fleet. They can send their 70th. I don't care. We are going to divide Pakistan into two.
No, so Supriya, which means you're saying that Prime Minister Modi and BJP, they are really scared that Rahul Gandhi, by bringing this issue inside
100%,
the parliament,
100%. Not just Rahul Gandhi bringing this issue, this book being published and Indians finding out how scared and what a coward Prime Minister Modi is. If the Prime Minister tells the army chief, Jo uchit samjhe wo karo, why are you the Prime Minister? What is your utility? I mean, you are scared of 3.5 crore Punjabis, you are scared of women MPs, you are scared of farmers, you are scared of youth. Who are you not scared of? And then you want us to believe कि देश सुरक्षित हाथों में है. No. आप अपनी सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करिए, झोला उठा के चलिए. That's what I say. So that's point number one. You do not want the truth to come out, but everybody knows the truth. Jo uchit samjhe wo karo is escaping and turning a blind eye to your own responsibility, which as the Prime Minister of this country you had. And imagine an army chief calling up for directions, the Chinese tanker standing before us, and for several hours this is going on in an era of digital warfare and things like that. Since these are favorite words of the Modi government, imagine this is the time they take for taking no decision at all. That's point number one. Point number two, the trade deal is as important. The trade deal happens, Trump announces it. Trump does not just announce there's going to be an 18% tariff on India. He also says there will be zero tariff that India has decided and India has promised to put on American goods going forward. He also says India will buy $500 billion worth of American energy, American agricultural products and coal, and we will also increase our purchase from America. He then goes on to say, Modi has promised we will not buy oil from Russia, but we will instead buy oil from America and Venezuela. Big problems with that. And yet, I mean, I can't imagine how silly and stupid the BJP is. The Prime Minister was felicitated for this deal. 72 hours have passed. Indian government has given no details. Trump spoke. His agriculture secretary, Brooke Rollins, comes on record, is jubilant, says this is great news for American farmers. They can now export to India. The US trade representative, I think Jamieson Greer, he comes on records, gives the details. White House press secretary Carolyn Levitt briefs the media, gives those details. Piyush Goyal comes and does a 22-minute press conference, talks about the trade deal 14 times, 15 times Manya Pradhan Mantri, and 13 times Rahul Gandhi. He gives a statement in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. I did not know what he was saying. I mean, this filibustering has to stop. But let's come back to the trade deal. So the government of India has not once denied anything that Trump has said. So you're essentially agreeing with him. Do you even realize how devastating this is going to be for the Indian economy, for Indian businesses, for Indian industry, for our MSMEs, for our trade surplus, which is positive with America, could turn negative? And what are we celebrating? They are so stupid. The tariff on India was under 3%. It used to be 3.3%. Manmohan Singh signed the nuclear deal. It became 2.93%. It has gone up from 2.93% to 18%. You are celebrating a 6-fold jump in tariff. I mean, I don't understand how these people operate. Do they think the rest of this country is stupid? But this is their reality. So that's equally important. And I think every issue before the nation is important. One concerns national security. One concerns our economy, our jobs, our industry. And Mr. Modi seems to be failing on all fronts. And when he fails on all fronts, his best defense is to speak complete rhetoric and blame Nehru. How long will you blame Nehru for? Nehru has gone. I mean, Nehru died 64 years back. Thank you for making him relevant. I thank you deeply from the core of my heart, because the more you malign Nehru, the more research is happening on Nehru, the more people are reading on Nehru, the more young people are interested in Nehru. You can keep doing that till eternity, till the cows come home, but you cannot diminish what Pandit Nehru did or what he stood
Right.
for.
In fact, Supriya, I'll talk about this hurling abuses on Nehru and Gandhi family a bit later, but I want to come back to the trade deal because you were talking at
Yeah,
length about that. Now, we do not know whether the deal has been signed or not, what kind of a shape
precisely.
it is. And, there are conflicting statements. Prime Minister Modi inside Rajya Sabha yesterday said that we've signed the deal. He was making a mention of EU. Then he was talking about the American trade deal. In the morning itself, yesterday, the Foreign Minister S. Shankar said that no,
I know
Piyush Goyal
nothing.
details, and I know nothing about it. Now, what does that go to show? Because you remember during UPA times, it was the same BJP which was in the opposition, and it used to say that Manmohan Singh is not on the same page with his cabinet ministers. Now,
No,
isn't that
I do feel that the left arm of the government doesn't know what the right is doing. It's a government in complete disarray. The Prime Minister says the deal has been signed. Piyush Goyal says the deal has not been signed. Jai Shankar, who's in Washington, he is in the United States. He was asked a
yes?
question about the deal. He says, I know nothing. Piyush Goyal and the Prime Minister know. You are India's foreign minister. You are on American soil. You were going to meet their foreign. You know nothing. Then what are you there for? And please don't forget and don't miss a story that was planted across certain sections of media that Doval spoke tough with his counterpart and told them this deal will not do, and then had to issue a denial and saying no, nothing like this happened. So one man hailing the deal, one man saying the deal has not been signed, the other saying I don't know anything, that the fourth saying I'm talking tough, then saying nahi bhaiya hum kuch nahi kar rahe, hame kuch pata nahi hai. So the
No, but
reality is, yeah,
you made a mention of Doval, and that episode also
yeah,
was very
yeah.
interesting because opposition kept on raising questions that India is not able to assert its sovereignty. Now, was this a drama
Absolutely.
which was done by the BJP where they are trying to project that, look, we have a Doval who's trying to assert his sovereignty
I mean, look,
much
when a story of that kind is planted in mainstream media, it has obviously come from the BJP camps. It has obviously come from the cheerleaders of Modi and Doval. But then they realize that, oh my God, you cannot be talking tough with Trump because Trump is constantly insulting you. If you ask me, and I'm putting my hand on my heart and talking as responsibly as I can, this trade deal has happened under immense pressure. What changed? This is the same deal that was there for months. What changed? Why did a 30-minute call suddenly result in a deal? Mr. Modi is scared. He's nervous. His name has appeared in Epstein files. The news around Adani is tightening. He needed a way out. Trump was exposing him every single day. He needed a way out. He has basically sacrificed the interests of Indian industry and our farmers at the altar of this trade deal. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind about that.
and
And the way, sure,
not to mention that Adani's lawyer is going to be the same
exactly,
person
Trump's
who's
lawyer.
fighting the case.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The news is tightening around Adani. Modi's name is coming in Epstein files. Modi's minister Hardeep Puri was, wooing Epstein. Why were you talking to a convicted pedophile? Why were you speaking to a convicted human trafficker? And this long after he was convicted, by the way. Anil Ambani's name has appeared. So
Yeah.
there is a lot that this government has to answer for. And may I please say that I think a lot of this puts shame on India. India was this beacon of light as far as virtues and morals and being the fulcrum of the moral compass of the world is concerned. And why was our prime minister in touch or taking advice from a man as dirty and as sick? And I'm sorry, but the mention of Epstein makes me sick. Whatever is now coming to light makes me want to throw up at times. Why was our prime minister taking advice from him? And if you actually see Epstein's mails, they join the dots. They encircle the dots. He very categorically says Modi went to the US in June. Yes, he did. He met Trump. He then went from 4th to 6th July 2017. He went to Israel. He says that is where he danced and sang and to make Trump happy. Yes, that happened. This mail was written on the 9th. So everything is corroborated. And may I dare say that this doesn't bode well for India. This doesn't bode well for who we are, what we stand. We are Mahatma Gandhi's nation. We are one of the oldest civilizations in the world. We talk about values from a point of power and position and authority that perhaps very few countries can do. And then to have our prime minister's name appear in this, it's very saddening.
Now I'll talk about what Priyanka Gandhi said during the monsoon session, during the discussion on Vande Mataram. And just because we were talking about a whole lot of
Yeah.
questions which Modi doesn't have an answer. Now, is that the main reason why Prime Minister Modi shields behind these abuses which are hurled on Nehru and Gandhi family, so that he doesn't have to answer on the fundamental questions which are being asked? Is that the prime reason why it's not a closed chapter on Nehru and Gandhi for Modi? And I don't think he will ever close the chapter, like what Priyanka Gandhi said during the discussion in the monsoon session, that let's allocate 2-3 days for the abuses hurled on Nehru and Gandhi, and then come back to the business. So, and she said that let's close this chapter. So, do you think that Modi ever will close this chapter on hurling abuses on Nehru and Gandhi?
It will never be closed. It will never be closed because Modi needs somebody to pin all his failures on. And who
Hmm.
better than Pandit Nehru? Because Pandit Nehru is deeply, deeply hated by the RSS and the BJP because he stands for against each one of their flawed policies and outlook. And we're going to discuss that in just a bit. I think Priyanka Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi perhaps are way too cultured and way too civil. But some of us want to pay them back in their own penny. Look at where the public discourse is going. There are certain lines that one never crosses in politics. There are certain things that one doesn't say loosely. You know, you talk about policies, you criticize each other publicly for policies, and very vehemently so. But there's a certain line you draw with families, with personal lives, and things like that. But look at what is happening today. How dare a sick man from the BJP get up and character assassinate Pandit Nehru? And guess what happens in turn? Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are not telling the world about Balraj Madhuk's book and what it says about Atalji, or a Debonair magazine with nude women pictures being under his pillow. But it's all in the public domain now because they're not saying it, but there are several people who believe that they need to be paid back in their own bad penny. They need to be made to taste their own bitter pill. And if they are going to malign Pandit Nehru, we are not going to keep quiet. If you are not going to let the leader of opposition speak, you are not going to speak in parliament either. And I'm extremely proud of what my colleagues and some of them very good friends did in the house. So I think you are going to cross lines on Nehru. Be prepared for lines to be crossed. Maybe not by the Gandhi family because they're perhaps too civil and too cultured and they will not do it. But the rest of India will want to teach you a lesson. And I think it's unfair that Atalji after his death is being maligned. But there are certain hard facts and certain books on that too. Uh, I hate his character assassination, but I'm not doing it. There are several others in the country who are. If I may ask you, I mean, if I may just say this further, why does Modi need to hide behind Nehru? Because Modi wants to be Nehru. Modi wants to have that legacy. Modi wants to be a towering personality. Why do you think Modi talks about himself as Vishwa Guru? What Vishwa Guru you are? You have actually completely spoiled our relationship with an all-weather friend like Russia. You are so scared of China, you cannot give your chief of army staff straight orders. You are servile before America. You cannot be Pandit Nehru, but he deeply wants to be Pandit Nehru. He wants to be the towering figure. But the thing that he doesn't understand is that you don't become towering figures by maligning others. You draw a bigger line. You just cannot keep maligning Pandit Nehru. Pandit Nehru was a hardcore patriot. Pandit Nehru was a liberal. Pandit Nehru was a democrat. Pandit Nehru was secular. Pandit Nehru was of scientific temper. When India became independent, unlike Modi, Pandit Nehru was not crying. He was not saying the British have gone, now what do I do? He set out to build modern India. He set out to lay the foundation of new India's temples, temples of modern India, temples of AIMS, IITs, BARC, ISRO, the dams, the infrastructure, the Sahityakala academies, the Film Institute. That's the perspective Pandit Nehru had. Pandit Nehru thought science and English speaking were very crucial, which is why he emphasized on that. Thanks to Pandit Nehru, several global leaders that India gave to the world, from Sundar Pichai to Satya Nadella to Ajay Banga or anybody who's today leading global corporations, they were taught in the education system whose values and whose foundation Pandit Nehru laid. That's what he did. So you can cry and you can keep howling till the cows come home. Pandit Nehru was a patriot. He wrote Discovery of India while I was in jail. He was not writing Maafinamas to the British Sarkar and calling himself the prodigal son. So you want to malign Nehru, go ahead and do that. But Nehru's legacy is so big and Nehru is so towering that each time you want to malign him, you dwarf in comparison even further. And quite frankly, what Mr. Modi is doing now, he looks like a frustrated, he looks like a tired man who's looking for scapegoats. And when he can't find a scapegoats around, let's go back 6 decades. I mean, Pandit Nehru passed away 64 years back. Thank you for making him relevant. That's what I would say.
Yeah. My last question now, Supriya, is that this Naravane book moment inside Parliament, which was brought forward by Rahul Gandhi. Now, do you think that that successfully has proved Prime Minister Modi as a compromised PM?
I mean, Mr. Modi is compromised is a fact now. Mr. Modi is compromised, and several things are bearing testimony to that. First things first. On the 19th of June, India's Prime Minister, after the Galwan clash, where 20 of our brave hearts died, did not bat an eyelid and lied to an entire nation when he said, "Koi ghusa hua nahi hai." When the core commander level talks were happening, the Prime Minister has still date. It's been 6 years now. We have not returned to status quo ante of April 2020. We made buffer zones in our own territory. We withdrew from the patrolling points where we were patrolling up to. So there is a lot that one would say on China. And now this new fact, General Naravane has written in his book that when he asked for explicit directions to carry forward with China, Modi did not say avenge the supreme sacrifice of our 20 brave hearts or teach China a lesson or teach them a lesson they will never forget. He says, "Jo uchit lage wo kar lo." It's like me as the head of my family telling my children, "Do as you deem fit." No, that is walking away and looking away from responsibility. That is sign of cowardice. That is sign of compromise. Mr. Modi has also compromised on the economic front by doing the trade deal that he does. Celebrating an 18% tariff that has gone up from 3%, celebrating what, 0% tariff on American goods, celebrating $500 billion worth of imports, absolutely putting the future of our farmers in darkness. What is he celebrating? He has compromised by stopping and not buying oil from Russia. 40% of our total crude oil import was happening from Russia, which is the cheapest oil in the world right now. He has compromised our interest by withdrawing from the Chabar port of Iran. He has compromised our interest by several other things that he has done. So he is a compromised prime minister. And I think he's more so compromised, not just to save Adani anymore, but because his own name appears in the Epstein files. And one is given to understand there is a lot more muck out there. And is this his olive branch to somehow stop that muck from appearing? I don't know. But my wise guess as somebody who has now known and tracked Mr. Modi for several years is Mr. Modi can do anything, absolutely anything for his own image. But his image has been shattered and is tattered. It has been shattered into pieces. His image today is of a coward prime minister who wants to hide behind the speaker, who thinks women MPs in the house are a threat to his life, who thinks, speaking in the Rajya Sabha and blaming Nehru for all his failures is going to serve him well. It won't. The country understands what you're doing.
Yeah, one quick question and then I'll wind up the show. That today also we saw in Parliament opposition leaders holding big banners on which it was written, obviously regarding the trade deal, it's called a trap deal. Now, this US trade deal is a big issue. Epstein files is a big issue. Now, do you think that Congress is really going on the streets as far as these two issues is concerned in the coming months?
Absolutely. I think even on the China issue, it's an issue of national security. The Prime Minister will have to answer. You did not take a call on China. You have taken a very flawed call on the trade deal. Whether it's the Epstein files, please tell the truth to the world. Why were your ministers quoting Epstein? There is a direct mail from your minister to Epstein. Sack him. I mean, we are the beacon of virtue in the world. Show some virtue. Sack your damn minister. He has no business, no moral compass to be there. And what they are doing to women who are speaking against them is deplorable. I mean, whether it is leaking a fictitious, fake, forged chat of Mahua Moitra or coming after me or coming after people like Priyanka Gandhi, they can do all that for I care. But I think when you compromise national interest, you will be called out. So yes, the Congress will not just be taking to the streets, but the Congress will be telling the people exactly what they've been up to. And if you think that the impact of the trade deal is not going to be felt, it will be felt sooner than all of us know. Our trade deficit with America was positive. It threatens to turn negative. Tariffs going up from 3% to 18% will hurt our exporters. This is a new reality that we'll have to deal with. And I don't think the Indian economy, Indian businesses, the small and medium enterprises, and the farmers have been prepared for this at all.
Right. All right. So we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Supriya. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.